What's going on, everybody? John Stamper, host of ADOM TV. Very excited to be coming to you today. And today's video cast, right? Mini cast, what have you. We're really excited about these here at ADOM simply because we've got some great traction with ADOM Radio. We've got so many of you that have been listening to the podcast. What we thought was that nothing better than bringing on so many of the great resources in our industry, companies and speakers and influencers, and have them come on and share their insight to all of you as a dental manager and do it so you can see them. So we're very excited about it. So today's episode is utilizing software integration. So how many of you have been in situations where you've got your practice management platform, you've got all these other new technology services you're using, you're like, man, wouldn't it be great if they could integrate into what we're using on a daily basis? Well, that's what we're here to talk about today. And I'm very excited to have Christian Perez, who is from Fortune Management, and today's minicast is actually brought to you by CareCredit. So Christian, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, John. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. So Christian and I were talking, and I like to put this out there, not to embarrass him because he is a superstar. He speaks to people all over the time, but he's like, John, this is my first video cast. I want to make sure I do a good job. And I can just tell you, after talking to him, he works with dental teams all the time. This guy knows what he's talking about. So we're really excited. All right. So some of the learning objectives, guys, is we're going to talk a little bit about your practice management software and how you can maximize it. Certainly we're going to touch on integration and CareCredit and things like that. Streamlining your daily processes. So it's no secret you're busy in the dental practice. And when you can integrate a lot of these softwares, it makes it easier. Helping patients find solutions to financial barriers. We know that's the biggest reason in so many cases that patients say they can't get the treatment. It's because of the financial means. And Christian's going to talk about that. And then also understanding how this integration will benefit your practice. So that's where we're going today. Before we do, Christian, we'd love to have you share with everybody a little bit about your story, what you do, and how you got to where you are today.
Okay. Great. No, and thank you again, because thank you. I appreciate very much for you having me here. I started in this industry a little over 15 years ago. I started and I still am a registered dental assistant here in Texas. And that's how I started into the dental field. It's been pretty much the only industry that I've worked in. And, from there, I moved on to different positions like treatment coordinator, financial coordinator, insurance coordinator, office manager. And after that, I moved on to actually working with CareCredit as a territory rep for all of South Texas.
Okay.
So I worked with 1,200 practices and, tried my best to achieve great success for all of them. And I will say I'm proud that we had one of the largest territories back when I was still as a territory rep. And so we had a lot of success there. I moved on to working with the corporate office as their national manager for inside practice development.
Okay.
So I worked with a lot of the phone teams, reaching out to offices, helping them, find solutions to a lot of the practice management challenges that we know we have in dentistry. After that, I decided to join Fortune Management, which is one of the largest consulting firms, coaching firms in the country. We just celebrated our 30th anniversary this year.
Congratulations! That's awesome.
So that's where I am today, and I really enjoy working with offices, building teams, working on personal and their skill set development. So that's where I am today.
Well, that's perfect. And I think that's what's really exciting about episodes like this is that you have worked in the practice, you understand the likes of CareCredit, but most importantly, it seems to me like you really understand the challenges that a lot of times the dental managers have, right? With all of these new software platforms. And this is an interesting episode because many practices, Christian, as you know, are familiar with CareCredit, but what you're going to touch on today are some exciting things as far as integration. Right? A lot of the work that CareCredit has done to integrate into the practice management software. And so let's start there. Let's talk really why should a practice that might be familiar with CareCredit, but was maybe using it in some of the original ways that they started, talk a little bit about the importance of them integrating in with their practice management software system.
Well, as you well know, as I think everyone well knows, is when we integrate. Just think about our phones. We are relying on technology. Things have changed a lot. Care Credit does a great job. I heard from one consultant one time, is Care Credit is a great company for dentistry. And I do believe that. And, working with them, you see the huge investment that they make. And it's, they are a company, they're a separate company, but they understand that the dental business, in order for their business to be successful, the dental business needs to be successful. Right. So they always put the practice in front of their own business. And, when the dental business hurts, Care Credit hurts. So they've made a huge investment, not just in continuing education, but also in the technology to make it easier.
Right.
So we teach a lot in Fortune that 10 minutes in dentistry is huge. If you look at our software platforms, that is how we schedule in 10-minute increments. And you wonder, why do we do it like that? Because that is so crucial. And from a lot of the teams that I work with, a lot of their challenges are time. I don't have time. I wish I had more time. I wish there were more hours in the day. So when we look at, if we can streamline some of the processes and try to eliminate some of the inaccuracies, such as, when we're posting payments, we don't have to leave the software to go to a different, okay, I'm going to go to the website, I'm going to do this, even though that's available. If we can keep it in the same practice management software, it just makes it easier for the manager, the treatment coordinator, the person checking the patient out. It just eliminates a lot of those inaccuracies that I know when we're trying to multitask, because we're trying to check out the patient, we're trying to do a treatment plan, we're trying to greet the next patient. Those things happen, and I think that it causes a huge burden on these, supervisors, practice administrators, whatever the position is. So that is a huge thing, is what can we do to make it easier? And if we can eliminate some of those errors so that at the end of the day, we're not, trying to figure out, why are we not balancing? Why is the end of the day sheet, why is it off? Something's not right. And I know for me, I'm driven to just be super accurate. Even I can't be off a penny. And I won't leave work until I figure out, where did I go wrong? But that's what happens in the whole chaos of, the daily life of working in the dental office. Those things happen. So, working with the integration and letting it, even if it fixes or allows you to skip a few steps to make it a little bit easier and also improve accuracy, that's one of the biggest reasons why an office would want to definitely use the integration that they're offering.
Yeah, that's a great summary. And I think, having you talk about the importance of, there is a lot of training out there, as you know, Christian, in dentistry that is important. It's teamwork and everybody working together and vision and mission. All those things are so important. But you brought up something that really, really struck with me. And that is that a dental practice is a business, and making sure that you're staying on top of those things, you're paying attention to the details with the craziness of every day. Those things matter. And the more that a practice embraces integration and utilizes technology in the way that you're talking about, it helps them with a lot of those systems stay on top of it. And so when we're talking about Care Credit and now some of these different software upgrades, can you touch on maybe what some of those are and share with everybody some things they did not know about?
Yeah. So when I worked with the integration several years ago, it was very different. So it had different advantages. The integration that we're seeing today, it is improving as far as, let's just say if the patient is, let me go back. For one, it keeps it at top of mind.
Yep.
I know in my career, sometimes I forgot to offer Care Credit because we're going through so many things. But it's nice when you see that button and you're in the patient screen and you just see that Care Credit, it just keeps it at top of mind, like, oh yeah, and also, if you need a payment plan or if you need some financing, we offer this and we accept this. So that's one of the huge things. The second thing is to make it so easy that, okay, as we talk to the patient, if you're interested, I can help you apply. We have to remember that patients do depend on us for a lot of things. If you take insurance, for instance, they know nothing about their insurance. I mean, there's a huge percentage. And so they do depend on the office to provide that information. And so when it comes to the financing, they also depend on them because one, they have this treatment plan and maybe they weren't expecting, or maybe were not prepared. And so they are leaning on the office to say, how can you help me with this? And here's my insurance. I don't understand it.
Right.
How can you help me? And we're in Fortune, we're always constantly thinking, how can we serve the patient at a higher level? Mm-hmm. And just, we have this servant leadership model that we follow. And so when it comes to financing, we also have to help them with that. It's just to kind of calm their fears. Look, I know this is a lot. I know you might not have been prepared. This is what's available to you. This is what we can offer you. And guess what? I can help you set this up today. Mm-hmm. The fact that CareCredit allows you to instantly open an account so that you can get the care that you need, especially in times of an emergency, where you don't have time to wait. You don't have time to think it's this, I just want to get out of pain, or I just need to fix this. So right there, when you're helping the patient with that, it's just so easy. You're in the screen, you press the CareCredit button, it automatically imports a lot of the information into the application. You'll still have to fill out a few fields, right, but it just makes it so much easier and streamlined, where you don't have to leave the practice management software. You get to stand there, stay focused on the patient, calming their fears, making them feel better, reassuring them that everything's going to be okay. One of the other features is, as you're posting payments, if you're doing it with the integration, you don't have to leave the software and go to something else, process, and then try to remember, I need to make that journal entry into the ledger. Yeah. I was talking with an office yesterday, and she was saying, these new credit card payments that are coming from the insurance, I have to do this and I have to do that. In the midst of everything that I'm doing, she goes, and I find myself at the end of the day trying to figure out how I missed this. Like, what did I skip? But it's because when we're multitasking, that does happen. We're trying to do so much at once because we have to. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of it. It prevents inaccuracies. It improves the speed of everything. It keeps you focused on the patient. And so those are some of the major advantages of the integration.
So I just got thinking about something, right? So for anybody watching out there, could you imagine a world where if the only place you could access your social media was on your desktop computer, right? Could you imagine how many less people would be on social media because it's not right there at their fingertips? And so hearing you make that statement of being top of mind, I cannot tell you how many times I was in a practice and we had conversations about CareCredit and the importance of it. And they know the value that they want to be able to offer it. But you're so right, Christian. It is that, let's call it like it is. I mean, practices get busy. Patients got to go here and there. You're getting pulled into another operatory. Anything that a company can do to integrate that into the system where you're working at now every day with every patient makes it that much easier. And here's the other thing that I want to get your thoughts on is, how many times has a patient come into the practice and maybe it wasn't presented to them? And of course, this integration really helps with that. And then they come back 3 months later and they learn about it then. And they say to themselves, man, I wish I would have known that, right? 2 months ago, 6 months ago, 8 months ago. And so every little piece of this integration, like you mentioned, surely makes a difference.
Yes, definitely.
All right. So let's talk about where CareCredit is currently integrated.
That's a huge list. They're a great company. They've been doing this for a long time. And we have this acronym with Fortune called CANI, Constant and Never Ending Improvement. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, CareCredit is one of those companies. That's why I'm very proud to have worked with them. Yep. And I still work with them. But they're constantly seeking, like, how can we do better? What can we do better? What do our offices need? And, they're constantly saying, again, we're a small part of that practice, but if we can help them be successful, again, we'll have a little part of that success. Mm-hmm. So I know that they're in Dentrix. I know they're in Eaglesoft, PracticeWorks, SoftDent, all the major ones, basically. They are constantly adding new software, practice management softwares, probably monthly as they're joining alliances. So I would say the best way to find out if it's available is to either contact the local rep or call the 1-800 number to CareCredit. And someone is always available to help you, not just let you know if it's available, which most likely it is. I can't even think of one practice management software that it's not integrated with, unless it's just recently been released. But they're constantly trying to join alliances. So I would say that would be the best thing, is contact the 1-800 number, contact them. They will walk you through the integration, the download, help you navigate through the different buttons and go over all the features and benefits of it.
Perfect. All right. So as we close out here, everybody loves a story, right? And you have stories, certainly in the work that you do with Fortune Management, I'm sure. But I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here. But it's okay. It's all good. We're having fun here, right?
Yes.
And can you think of maybe some recent practices that you've worked with that are utilizing this integration? And maybe just share with everybody a little short story of kind of either what they said to you or how it kind of changed some things, or anything that you can think of really what this means when it comes down to the rubber meets the road. Practice are using the integration and it's helping them. It's helping them. It's helping their patients. Anything like that.
Sure. I was one of my practices I was recently at this past week. We were talking about the integration. I told her that I was going to be doing this mini cast, and she's like, I love it. And she goes, there are multiple ways to apply for Care Credit. And and I loved it because she said, no, but I want to help my patients. And yes, I know they can apply on their own, but that's scary. It's kind of like telling the patient to follow their own insurance. It most likely will not happen. It is scary. And that's not really helping the patient. When we say we want to help patients, like, what does that really mean? How are we helping them? How are we going above and beyond? Right. So she said, no, I want to take care of it. And I want to take care of the application. And I want them to know they're in good hands because there's a trust factor involved. They trust me. And so I'm telling them about this, this great resource. And so I need to be the one to kind of take charge of it. And I said, well, I mean, even if you didn't use the integration, you could go through the website. There are different ways. And she goes, again, I go back to what I said earlier. She's like, I love it because, one, it does remind me to let the patient know, and we also have these options. Right. She goes, the other thing is there are a lot of other financing companies, and, we don't speak badly about any. It's, you have options. Yep. She goes, but Care Credit is the only one that is working hard enough to integrate with us, that they actually care that, about us, like as far as, we want to make this easier for you. When I started in dentistry, when I first learned about Care Credit, a huge thing about them was we want to create this ease of use. And they still, to this day, is how can we make it easier? How can we make it simple? Right. When something's too difficult, we probably tend to maybe, say maybe not, or I can't do that, or what, if I have to think too much about this, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to offer it. And when we don't do that, guess what? The patient suffers because they can't get the treatment that they need and that they want and today. And so she was sharing with me, it's like, even though we have these other options, I always go back to Care Credit because they just make it easy. They make it simple, and they always give a great experience to the patients. Like, when we refer to other practices, or even, let's just say we tell someone about a great restaurant and they go to the restaurant, we know they're going to have a great experience, and they're depending on us for our referral. So she said, it just makes it so much better that I can trust that they're going to take care of my patient. Right. And she goes, so I choose them over some of the other options we have available because they just, again, make it easy, they make it simple, and they serve us and our patients at the highest level. Yeah.
I love it. Well, listen, man, I mean, I got to tell you, this might be your first podcast, but certainly to have been asked by Care Credit, a company that we all know and respect, for you to come on here and share your stories and your insight on integration. You knocked it out of the park. And so great job. And that's it, man. Now, like, you're going to be doing podcasts all over the place, right? So it's like, you just got to do one. And, the ADOM audience is amazing. Again, the dental managers that are out there, they're so thirsty for this information and wanting to learn about it. So I'm sure they're going to take a lot of the things that you shared, get them right into their practice and do some research. So, but before we wrap, if you could let everybody know, maybe that doesn't know or is new as a dental manager, which would be kind of crazy to think, but a little bit more about Care Credit and how they can find out about some of the things you're talking about.
Well, they offer several resources. You have carecredit.com. That's usually for the patient, if they want to apply on their own or learn a little bit more. But Care Credit has designated for providers their own specific website. That's called carecreditpro.com.
Okay.
Not only that, you have all those resources. Search them. They have tools. They can help you market your practice. They can do financial calculators to do to gain optimal treatment acceptance when you're presenting payment options. So many things that are just available to you that so many people don't know. On top of that, you have a practice development manager who is a live person that will come into your practice. They'll do a lunch and learn. They can come do one-on-one training. They can help you set up the software, the integration if you need them to. They do have several offices, so if they can't get to you in time, you need something immediately. You also have a practice development specialist that is designated to the office. You can call them at any time. They can do a live training. They can call you back. They can do a group training. And on top of that, even if that doesn't work for you, you also have the 1-800-859-9975. I still remember the number. That's just a general provider support to help you with anything from software integration to learning about resources to finding out who your local rep is, to also helping you maybe with an application that you're having some trouble with trying to help a patient. So there's multiple resources, multiple lines available to help you support and make sure your practice and your patients are successful.
Awesome. Well, I know that ADOM is certainly big fans of every team member in the practice. And how about RDAs represented today, right? I mean, think about this. You started as a dental assistant. I love it. Look at all the great things you're doing now in the industry. And I think it shows everybody that there's so many opportunities in dentistry to help and to give back. And you're doing that now with Fortune Management and Care Credit. So Christian, thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate it. This is going to be watched by probably like 60 million people. So, no pressure. You did an amazing job. and thanks again for coming on. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Doc.
All right, see you, man. All right, bye-bye.